and welcome to the very first episode of Theo Reality, a combination of theory and reality where we explore topics that have a strong stereotypical or academic grounding, and we also explore what it means to be living in these experiences on the ground level. My name is Luke Zavasti, and I'm starting this podcast together with my friend Jason Lin.
Hello,
Uh,
my name is Jason Lin.
Right. So, me, Luke, I have a background in academic sociology and law, and I went to Columbia and Oxford, and I was almost complete with my DPhil, but that didn't work out. And what about you, Jason?
Right, so I'm a college classmate. We both, me and Luke, went to Rutgers together, and after undergrad, so Rutgers, for those of you who don't know, is state school, college in New Jersey. And after that, I went to UCLA. So I did my master and PhD programs, even though similar to Luke, I didn't finish my PhD. The program name is called biomathematics, so it's more theoretical ecology, applied math in that direction. Yeah.
Cool. And what we're going to be doing for this episode series is for this season, we're going to be exploring one book. So, for example, Peter Thiel's Zero to One, and then interviewing somebody who's actually involved in training, mentoring, and founding companies. What that means from the ground level, what the book gets right, what the book gets wrong, what people might misunderstand. But for our first two episodes, our first episode in 20-minute chunks, we'll be exploring Jason. So I'll be interviewing Jason with some questions about his life and our friendship. And for episode number two, Jason will be doing the same to me. So let's get into it. So, like Jason, you mentioned previously, we met at Rutgers. How did we meet? What made us friends? And how did we celebrate this friendship initially?
Right. So I remember we met actually in Mexico, and it was
Right.
a college summer exchange course. We got to visit Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, and we met actually during the course. And I guess one of my favorite one of the most memorable experience during that trip when we visited a natural reserve. There's actually two incidents in that reserve. One is that we have to sleep in a hammock, and I love like harder what's it called, like the mattress in terms of firmness.
Yeah.
I love to be
Yeah.
firm, so hammock was a disaster, even though it was beautiful in that Yucatan Peninsula and the natural reserve. And the second thing that I learned is that because of the watering system, they have to save like amount of
A lot of
waters,
water.
right?
Yeah.
So in terms of like pooing and peeping, so we have to like, so basically the saying is that if it's if it's yellow, let it
It's
mellow.
yellow, let it
Yeah,
mellow. Yeah.
right,
If it's
exactly. So
brown, flush it
flush it
down.
down, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
remember that. So I'm not sure what made us friends. During the trip, it was obviously a great experience, right? So I like to talk to people and make friends in general. But I always thought you were really cool. Like, I think that you first starting to talk about cars, like as a male, like I generally like cars. And then, you know a lot about engines and stuff, which we'll kind of like got into a little bit like during the second episode. But yeah, like I think that you have ability or a talent of telling good stories, life stories. So that's what I
Uh,
admire about you. And I mean, even after a school trip, we keep talking and remain friends.
yeah. Yeah. We've been friends for a
So
long time, almost
uh
10 years, I think, something like that.
right, so like after college, we kind of like got our separate ways. But yeah, I mean, we share kind of similar interests. We like to connect with other people. And then I don't know, we're both Asians.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's a big thing, like and especially like for me, well, I was born in China, right? So I spent most of my teenage years back in China. I was like 18 years up to college, and then like I got dropped into this no man land where I know like a couple of people. One of my family friends is there, but it's like I think that kind of like sparks our start our friendship
Hmm.
in that
Yeah.
way. Yeah. So
Cool, cool, cool. Awesome. Well, from my end, thank you very much. Those very kind, very, very, very kind words, very flattering. For me, some of my fondest memories are to do with food. So I'm a big foodie. So for example, I remember that in the Yucatan, for anyone that's been there, the restaurants serve guac and nachos all the time. It's always on the table. So I was very happy. My stomach was very happy that trip. Um, and At least in New Jersey, we got around to exploring a lot of Asian restaurants together. And I remember watching you eat this dish made me try it, and it's now like one of my favorites if I have the chance. So it's called 狮子头面, which means lion's head noodle. No lions are involved. It's really just a bowl of noodles with clear broth and a really, really bloody big meatball
yeah.
that's there for you to enjoy. So because of that, I think we've always had fun together exploring different things. Um, yeah. So thank you for that. All right, on to the next question then. What's theoreality to you? And maybe you could talk a little bit more about what we're hoping to achieve together.
Right. So, for me, in terms of theory of reality, well, basically the name of this podcast, right? So it comes from a wordplay between theory and reality.
Reality.
So for me, well, like in terms of my personal reasons of starting even a podcast is, just to be able to improve my communication skills, right? So I think we're also going to talk a little bit about AI, but the fact
Yeah,
is that people, in this fast changing society, I think the soft skills is getting more and more important, and
that's right.
that's
Yeah.
one of my kind of like selfish reasons, just to improve my communication skills. And well, I did have a period, which we're going to talk a little bit later, is that I have a period I was quite depressed. So it's an opportunity for me to make friends, have fun, and communicate more, talk more.
Yeah.
Um, but I've always drawn to, because I've been studying theoretical ecology, and I love materials or knowledge in academic world, and but at the same time, I I won't say no to money. Money is very important. So that brings to the reality part, right? So you have to, have some sort of jobs or, to make ends meet, right? So that kind of brings, in terms of myself, is to how do you apply theory to reality more, and how do you find a ways to bring people from academia and industry together.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say on my end, my excitement over this, and we'll get into my views on this next week. But my excitement over this is that we'll get to be approaching a lot of people, I think. A lot of people with some really, really interesting ideas, and we'll be getting this out there. That's incredible. And it's great that you brought up what you're studying because that's going to be the next question. So, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about what you studied at UCLA? Because I think it's very, very fascinating. And, I also studied network effects. So, why don't you elaborate on that?
Right. So, like I said before, I started my master and PhD program. And so the department name is biomathematics, and it's actually a really one of the old department at UCLA. An interesting episode is that so now it's not a department anymore; it's a program, and the department name actually changed to computational medicine, and
Huh.
that is like a in a way it's like a dark trading among this in this academic environment, right? So the story is that there's one professor got a lot of money, and he wanted to start a department, but it's a very bureaucratic system. Education is a
Uh-huh.
very bureaucratic system, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's very hard, right? So what he did is that he got into our department, biomathematics, and he actually, because of this money, so he became chair. So after that, he changed the name to computational medicine. which kind of goes around this bureaucratic system, and bumped the biomathematics department to a biomathematics program. Anyway, that's a that's a side note. So I mainly did theoretical ecology, which is just a very tiny branch of this biomathematics. There's a lot of things that you can use um, um, math for, but more specifically, so I build interaction networks of predator preys, and I study the
Mm-hmm.
stability of the food web, right? So how essentially answering why there's so many species can coexist on this planet, on this ecosystem, right?
Yeah, what I find amazing about that is because I actually am also of the philosophy that network effects are great. You can actually study everything through network effects, and that viewing things as an ecosystem computationally with complexity is really the way to go. So an example that I always think of is, for example, like how do we explain organizational culture or workplace harassment, for example? To what extent are leaders or middle management responsible for desired outcomes in organizations? Can we pin this on certain individuals, or is this actually too diffuse? So the idea of how diffuse an idea culture is, this is very broadly related to this thing in network theory called centrality. So a bit like theoreality, centrality is just how spread out, how concentrated, or how far apart are people, relationships, or pieces of information from each other. And there's a lot that you can do with it. It's funny that although we actually come from very different fields, I'm far more qualitative, and you're far more quantitative. We actually sort of are in the same ecosystem, which I think is amazing.
Yeah, and kind of a side note, a lot of the theoretical ecologists, because the study of network come from sociology, right? So a lot
Right.
of actually like the random network theories, and then the idea of centrality, in betweenness, all of it is from sociology, right? So and just an interesting note that a lot of even within theories that
Mm.
academics from different parts of the branches can kind of interact with each other.
If I'm not wrong, just a very small further addendum on
All
that, as
right.
academics like to say. Uh, Actually, most of the computational tools for that were not built by sociologists because we're not,
Ah,
but they were built for physicists because you need to model particle mechanics. So it comes from nuclear physics actually and
well,
material science. So that's just really, really cool. Okay. Next question then. So let's say Theo Reality is 1 year old. We've produced, one episode a week. So we've got 55 episodes. What kind of culture would you like to leave behind?
well, that's a good question. So I wanted to. For me, it's all about opportunities, right? So more opportunities to connect with people. So when you connect with more people, then you have more opportunity to know about, for example, the industrial side, so that just give information, to the academics about this opportunities in the industrial environment, that there are, in fact, good jobs in that sphere. And I want
Mm,
to show like people in industry, there are actually a lot of good theories that they have not explored. Maybe that can, improve their efficiencies, or can help them generate more revenue, which, we'll talk a little bit more about the company that you started, which kind of also like kind of uses some of the theories that,
sure.
eventually wanted to help um, the, the companies to generate more
Data
revenues. Anyway, yeah.
revenue. Yeah. Oh, very, very cool. So what would you say are our three core values then?
It gotta be, for me, the three keyword comes to mind is communication, humility, and fun. So
Yeah, I
communication
think I
is
would.
is obvious, right? So how do you convey information, knowledge, or story so that it's easy to understand? You wanted to, obviously, for me, want to talk to more people, listen to more people, and understand like what are different people from industries and academic, what is their thought process. And humility is that just don't take ourselves too seriously.
Yeah.
Sometimes like there are some walls between academia and industries, and people sometimes look down on people on the other side, but oftentimes there are a lot of good people, and then it's just like it needs communications, it needs to you know for just information to be smoothly passed through each other. And yeah, fun, right? So I mean, to be honest, we want to make this fun. Otherwise, nobody's going to listen to it. And then it can be biological, ecological, sociological. All of these things, all of the content we do. Try to make it so people learn about the things in a very fun way, right? So that people easier for them to remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with all of that. For me, the only difference I would say is maybe just uh, I, I I really like indulging this sort of gray area. So this interdisciplinary area between theory and reality, or between qual and quant, and actually dividing things neatly really doesn't work in life. I think for me, another part of this is also acknowledging the complexity of humanity. So what I mean by this is, for example, like you might read, again, we want to go through some of these books. You might read like, Peter Thiel's Zero to One or something, and you might have certain expectations, and you might be going through this phase of your own life if you're listening to this, dear listener, um, and you feel very alone because the book makes it seem very clear cut or very easy, and actually it almost never is, and you might feel like you're struggling because of that. And so hopefully, if you've come across our podcast and you're listening to it now, I just want you to know that complexity is part of life, and it can be really difficult sometimes. So thank you for that, Jason. And so last question, we're coming up now, 17 minutes. Um, um, Ideal dream guest to interview on Duo Reality. Anybody in the world, past, present, future, dead or alive.
Good question. So, for me, my dream guest would have to be Robin Williams. So, for those of
Okay.
you who don't know, Robin Williams, actor, comedian. So, I mean, it's just comedian in general. Like, I love Dave Chappelle, Conan O'Brien, Trevor Noah, and then, to throw in some Asians, Jimmy O Yang, and then Jim Carrey, right? So, the reason I chose Robin Williams is that, well, so I wanted to learn how to convey ideas in a very fun way, how to think outside the box, as a lot of the comedians, right? So they
Yeah.
have a way of seeing things. And another aspect I wanted to learn from Robin Williams is that, so he, as a matter of fact, I believe a lot of comedians do suffer from depression. So
Yeah.
what's their coping mechanisms? What can I learn something from them? Yeah, so I would say if not Robin Williams, then definitely some other comedians. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Just to add a little bit of context for our listeners out there, both Jason and I have struggled with themes of loneliness, immigration, and mental health. So these are definitely themes and ideas that we're transparent about. They take a big part of a big they play a big role in our communication styles and our academic backgrounds. So thinking about who we are and why we're feeling a certain way, I think it's a very big part for both of us as well. Any closing words for our inaugural episode? We're coming out onto 19 minutes now.
No, I mean, I just wish more people could listen to us. And yeah, I really wish to be a very be more persistent, right? So we wanted to
Yeah,
record more. Obviously, more people can listen to it, the better. But still, we'll try to produce more materials in a consistent way, and then we'll even do some polls and ask about audience, and then what should talk about, and then we even talked about interview AI, right? So interview
That's
GPT, and
right.
that can be a cool idea. But yeah, we look forward to how many long, in the first,
However long this goes,
how
yeah.
long this goes. Yes.
Yeah. All right.
All
Okay.
right.
And I'll see you in the next episode then. Bye.
Bye. Meow. All right.